streaming. And let's wait for this to go up. Let's pop out the chat. Pippity pop out this chit chat. Okay. And send it to y'all. Send now. Okay. So, excuse me. Today is, I think it's the last day, right? It's the last day of the Unity's spring sale for the Unity Asset Store. And I thought I would go out here and shill some of this garbage to you. No, actually, really, all these I stand by. I totally stand by all of these. Some of them I'm a little new to, but I've spent a long time sort of researching and learning about them, but have only barely begun using myself. Only a couple of them. And then all of them I have used myself, and most of them I use either very often or I used for an extended period of time. So let's just make sure. Am I coming in okay? Let me see. I'm going to put this volume up for a second. Okay, good. Sounds okay, clear. So, I'm going to keep chat down like this, maybe. Put this over here. And let's get to it. So, this page, by the way, this is a page on my website, stevenscottday.com/stuff-I-use. So stevenscottday.com/stuff I use with dashes in between each word. And this page you can find as a link in the description of this video. And yeah, you can see up here, the description says, the links below represent the tools that have provided more value than I paid for, and never hesitate to recommend. They're all affiliate links, so any purchases made linked from here will help me out a little and is greatly appreciated. Shaka, shaka, shaka. So these assets are kind of arranged in like actually no, I was going to arrange them in order of frequency used, but it more just ended up as like I put Playmaker at the top because that's like my jam, as you know. Okay, so let's start this thing, and I'll be answering questions about this if anybody actually pops in. Otherwise, if you're watching this video, you can hopefully later on in the future, I'll put timestamps in here so you could skip to some of these. This is called the intro for now, because this information will be relevant even after the spring sale is over, because this is just a sort of brief, I don't know, maybe it'll be exhaustive review of my experiences with the assets. Okay, so first things first, Playmaker. So my little description is, you know it, this thing changed my life, get it like right now. And I stand by that. So let's go ahead and click this really quick. Actually, I should just open up in a new tab. So Playmaker, the thing I want to point out here is up here in the URL, it says Playmaker-368. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure 368 is the asset store ID number. And the thing is, this came out a long fucking time ago. This came out, let's see, maybe, I'm sure there's somewhere on here where I could find releases. Original was March 3rd, 2011. So it's over 10 years old now. Okay. They're currently on version 1.9.4.f2. Now, it's crazy I haven't seen this in a while. I made this trailer. So, full disclosure, I'm a contractor for Hutong Games for Playmaker, but I was using Playmaker and swore by it and built this whole channel around Playmaker before I ever even got in touch with them. So I was indoctrinated. I drank the Kool-Aid. I have been obsessed with this tool. Like I said, it changed my life before I knew Alex or Jean or Aaron, anybody involved with Playmaker. Echo-based Dev says, it's been around for a long time. I wish I would have given it a shot earlier. Same. I actually bought this. I actually bought Playmaker. By the way, hello, Echo-based Dev. How's it going? I bought Playmaker back in 2015 or 2014. And I just never used it. and I fucking regret it, man. All the time. I'm always like, ever since I first started actually using it in 2019. I think for the first time I ever used Playmaker was in November 2019. And I wish ever since, like, the day I started using it and I started making all this shit just work right out of the box, I was like, fuck, man, my life would be so different right now if I just started using it, whatever, 6 years prior. Or not six, what am I talking about? 6 years prior, like 4 years prior. So love Playmaker. The thing is, people call this a visual scripting program. It's not necessarily visual scripting. It's categorized as such because it's an easy phrase to call it. But more than anything, you could look at it as a finite state machine, a tool that is sort of meant to pull a lot of the abstractions out of making a game, out of game development, and to instead just give you something that looks and functions like natural language. So if you're an English speaker, you could use it in English, but Playmaker is also adapted into several different languages. So Playmaker en espagnol, Playmaker en français, not aus Deutsch, but Playmaker Deutsch, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Chinese and Russian, and it's been translated. So the interface, maybe you don't understand me right now because I'm speaking English, but nevertheless, if you want to suggest it to somebody who speaks another language other than English, you could tell them this tool works just like the language you speak, because it's written in a very plain way. It's all written in C#, so the actual components of it are made out of C#. So if you ever wanted to go in there and really enhance the tool yourself, that's an option. And not only is it an option, it's encouraged. So in the Playmaker manual, it talks about how you could do that. I do it all the time now. Really, like, Playmaker can take you from the stage of a beginner all the way into sort of veteran programmer, because I know people who are excellent, totally amazing programmers who write most of their shit in C#, but once they found Playmaker, they decided to use it as an additional tool to do a lot of heavy lifting and leverage for them. So yeah, Playmaker is extremely efficient. And then the big question everybody has is like, can Playmaker make X game? Can it make Y game? Can it make Z game? Can it make, can it do a Metroidvania? Can it do a first-person shooter? Can it do online? Can it do VR? Can it do MMOs? Can it do... And the answer to every single one of those questions, unilaterally, yes. There is just like one big blanket statement. If you could do it in C#, if you could do it in Unity, you could do it with Playmaker. Playmaker is just an additional tool to help you with things. So it'll get you started, get you in the right direction. Can't recommend this fucking thing enough. $65 at full price. Right now it's half off, by the way, so depends on when you're watching this video, but $65 full price is a bargain. This thing should be closer to $100 or $200 for the value that it provides. It is astonishing. It has the ecosystem, something that's updated constantly by the community. The community is also really rich. Lots of learning resources out there. It's fucking amazing. So nothing really left to say about this thing. Really, like, you just have to go try it yourself. I wish there was some type of demo version. I wish there was a way people can just kind of see, but I can tell you right now that, like, it's unnecessary. Just buy the damn thing. So links to my little page so I could shill my fucking products and shit like that to you and make a quick penny. You could, if you use this link from this page, which is linked in the description, you'll be helping me out by through affiliate shit. So yeah, that's Playmaker. Okay, so the next thing we have is, again, this is sort of very out of order. Sometimes I use these things. I haven't used these in a minute, but I used them for a great deal of time. That's where my opinions come from. Next one is SteamVR 2.0. This is an asset for Playmaker. So this is SteamVR 2.0 actions for Playmaker. This goes back to talking about Playmaker. If you're a Playmaker user, you're interested in doing VR, this is a fucking perfect asset to get you started. So I'd never done VR in my life. I downloaded this one day, the day that a game jam started, and I basically started like making my game then and there. So SteamVR Action for Playmaker uses to make Killbook 6900 or 69,000. So if you've ever seen my video about me making my VR game, this is the asset I used. $15, fair price, just gives you a nice handful of actions to kind of get the controller inputs working. Gives you some sample scenes so you can understand how they all work together. And above all, like the man who made this is very responsive. So if you just hit up Frametail Studio LLC's support email, very responsive, very speedy responses, help me out. Yeah, so this is just great. I mean, there's not too much to say about this. It's really just actions for Playmaker to get VR inputs working. So it's great. Get it. Make sure that you're looking at the requirements here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, links are in the description. So there's a big link at the top of the description of this video that takes you here. You can see this big SteamVR button. All right. Next is Easy Colliders. Now, Easy Colliders is also my jam, and I use this for fucking everything. Dusty Wee says, yes. How's it going, Dusty Wee? How you doing? And Echo-Based Dev says, no shame in shilling awesome stuff that actually works well. Right? This is why I'm so excited to do it, because I was like, I get to come here and talk passionately about things that I'm actually super stoked on and totally stand by. And then hopefully it gets other people excited enough to just grab it while it's on sale, and then I get like a couple bucks, hopefully collectively, and then I get to make more shit like this. So it's a win-win-win-win-win. The independent developer making these awesome assets win, you win because you're getting something that I believe truly you'd get some great value out of, and then I win a little bit because fucking yeah, I need money, man. I'm moving out of this place because they're hiking up my rent. Like legit, I put in my last month. I have to leave this apartment. Too much information, and then on top of all that, my income also directly affects how often I make these videos. So it's a whole ecosystem of it's a whole, not an ecosystem, economy rather. Just for your information, that guy made an Oculus PlayMaker asset that works good. Right? Is it not the same? It might be also as well. It might be this. Oh no, you're right. It is a separate thing, right? Because it's actions. That's true. Right. It's on his page. Can't speak for that one, though I may try it in the future if I do end up grabbing an Oculus. I personally use the HTC Vive. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. I will get the sensor toolkit from your link. Woo! Dusty Wee. Don't know when, but I will. Right on. There's sales today. I think the spring sale ends today. Yeah, it says up here. Spring sale ends today, 50% off assets. So there's that. If you can't get it today, there's also no pressure in that, but just throwing that out there if that sways any of your decision making on when you get it. So anyways, though, Easy Collider. I'm just going to play this video again. So Easy Collider is, if you take a look at this video right now, it is a tool that helps you put Unity collider components onto geometry within Unity. So sometimes if you're ever building, or sometimes when you're building games, you might want to create the mesh that counts as the collider mesh in whatever program you're modeling in. So if you're in Blender, you might make your chair model, and it has all these bevels and detail in the geometry and stuff. But then you might make a separate mesh that fits around it. So this is an example right here. Imagine you built a chair that looks like this. Let me close that. That looks like this. But then what you want is to build a second mesh that looks something closer to this, a more simplified version, and that's what things interact with. That's what happens with collisions and everything. And the reason for that is because higher detailed mesh colliders will bog down the performance of a game, and so there is some sort of engineering problem that you have to find ways to make simpler meshes to put as colliders for the interactable objects in your game. Now, the other way to do it is to just put colliders on your meshes within Unity. And so if you've ever done that, you're just right-clicking, adding a component. If your thing is somewhat close to a box and you add a box collider, it tries to kind of put it in those dimensions within the bounds of the box. If you make a ball, you put a sphere collider on it, it more or less matches to the shape of the sphere. It's pretty good at guessing those things, but for more complex things like this chair or whatever, you might want to use something like the convex the mesh collider, and then you switch to convex, and that rarely ever works well. It is probably one of the worst parts of using Unity's sort of just native collider components. So your only alternative really is to either make your own from the modeling software that you're using, or to use an asset from the asset store like this Easy Collider. Now, Easy Collider, the way it works is, if I just play this right now, Let me see, find a little moment in here, is it literally gives you an interface where you kind of just hover your mouse over the vertices of the game object there in the scene, and it selects it, and then you can kind of select what type of collider you want to put on it. So you could see this kind of rotating through the different shapes that it has, sphere, or a more complex one, or a box, or a sort of rotated box, capsule, etc. And then you literally hit a button and it just adds it to it. And then there's also all sorts of cool things there too, where if you've ever wanted to put colliders that match one game object but put it on a different game object, because there's all sorts of logistical hoops that you have to jump through when you're doing programming things that, I don't know, you trust me, you're either going to end up there one day, or you've been there, where you want to put the colliders of this object on a game object that doesn't necessarily have the mesh. And so this tool also does that. There's so many features in here. If I can go through some of these images. So they have I think this one's, what is it? The convex hull collider generator thing or whatever. This one is sort of like a quick plug and play. It's a little bit of like a sloppy quick solution, where you could say, here's my complex piece of geometry, guesstimate what you think a convex mesh would best look like on this, or maybe break it into several different, convex meshes and put it all into one game object kind of thing. You can see the multicolored polygons here. That sort of represents like all the different colliders that this one game object has. This is an excellent way of putting colliders on your game. So also, again, if you've ever been there where you're literally creating box colliders and then sliding their positions around to kind of match your geometry, that can be such a pain in the ass. It is such a tedious process. Whereas this, literally, sometimes what I'll do is like, I'll just select all these vertices. I just click, drag a big box over it. It selects all the things, and I hit add this or add that, and it adds whatever type of collider I'm feeling at that moment works to that whole mesh, and it lines up so nicely. So I use this for everything that I do colliders with in a complex way. Some games, I can get away with just like slapping something on really quick, but basically all of my games, I pretty much use Easy Collider. $30, great deal. Usually that's the usual full price for it is $30. I think that's amazing. But 15 bucks right now is also amazing. 50% off. That is a steal for this. So I highly recommend Easy Collider. I've been talking about it for a long time. You've probably seen another stream where I have fun putting colliders on my game objects. How ridiculous is that? I enjoy the process of putting colliders on my game objects. Okay, that's Easy Collider. So next we have Sensor Toolkit. So Sensor Toolkit is actually defunct right now. Sensor Toolkit has been replaced by Sensor Toolkit 2. So if you've ever had Sensor Toolkit, you're going to have to cough up a little bit extra for Sensor Toolkit 2. Now, I myself have not used Sensor Toolkit 2. I've gone through some of the manuals, some of the documentation, seen how it worked, talked to some friends who have used it as well. And I mean, at a base level, the first one was good. And so the second one, there have just been, there have been improvements that I can only imagine are like, it kind of doesn't even matter at this point. Like it was already such an amazing tool. It used to be $20, the first version. So this sort of beefed up one, I think now, it's $50. So back in the day when there was Sensor Toolkit 1 and it was $20, I was always like, holy fuck, I can't believe this thing cost $20. Again, it was one of those assets where I was like, I would have paid something closer to 50 for this. And so it kind of makes sense. I think he realized that. I've talked to him, by the way, Adam Alexander of My Cosmo. You can also go through my videos. If you go to my channel, you could check out an interview I did with him. I was such a fan of the tool, and I knew he used Playmaker and stuff, that I decided to hit him up and talk to him about all sorts of stuff regarding VR and independent game development, kind of working your day job and creating systems and tools that sort of benefit you, but also as well as other people. Anyways, so you could go check that out. But this tool that he made is something that I use for a lot of games. And essentially what Sensor Toolkit is if you can kind of like look at some of these pictures here, is the main thing I use it for is for vision and hearing. So sensory input from your NPCs. Also, let me see. I saw that Sensor Toolkit was going to be 80% off, but when I checked, it wasn't. I've been fooled. Wait, why don't I see a sale on the Sensor Toolkit? I'm checking it right now. Oh, so right now, maybe Sensor Toolkit isn't on the spring sale. The reason there is a sale number on my page is because I own the previous version. So I guess that's worth mentioning right now. That's great that you pointed that out. Is that if you had Sensor Toolkit 1, you can come and get Sensor Toolkit 2 at a discount. So for me, instead of paying the full $50, because I already owned sort of, what you might call the meat and potatoes of the application, I get the 40% discount. So I get it for $30. So maybe that's why that might be what you're seeing, because perhaps it is not actually on spring sale. But yeah, so what I use it for is mostly the sort of sensory input for NPCs. So as you can see, this tank has a vision cone, and you can see it's doing all these little line of sight checks to see if it can actually see this player hidden behind the rock. So that's what I use Sensor Toolkit for mostly. If you've ever seen any of the streams that I did Memories of a Spy, they have these big vision cones, that just, if something is in it, that counts as being seen. There's also hearing sensors, so it's kind of like doing an overlap sphere. It's sort of a way of using simple geometry to decide like what's inside of it. It also has, like I said, these line of sight tests, which is where it checks if something is in that collider or within that space, because some of them aren't necessarily colliders. And then takes all the items that do show up there and puts them into an array for you. And then you can kind of choose what to do. And there's all sorts of options, to sort by or to sort of filter by their tag or whatever layer they're on. And this line of sight thing, it does a bunch of raycast checks at certain points of the game object. And, so for example, if this character is behind a wall and you have line of sight points on their hands, their elbows, their multiple points on their chest, their head, their neck, their lower torso, their thighs, their shins, and then their feet. What you could do is you could say, well, the visibility of this character is dependent on how many of those points can be hit by a raycast. So this tank might shoot a bunch of raycasts, and it might only see the head. And then you could kind of program the game in such a way that says, well, does that count? Maybe if they only see the top, maybe there's 2 points on the head. Maybe they need to see the top of the head and the bottom of the head, and that counts as like seeing the head. But if they only see the top of the head, then it's almost as if they don't see them or something like that. So the line of sights components for this and the way all that works is also just, it's so amazing that this fucking thing is like, yeah, I've been using this for a long time, or at least the original one, and I've been excited to dive into Sensor Toolkit 2. So that's Sensor Toolkit 2, definitely get it out. Oh, big thing, by the way, if you're a Playmaker user, so not only is it's very no-codey, there's a lot of just components in here that you can use right out of the box, but there's also Playmaker integration. So there's plenty of Playmaker actions, an exhaustive list of Playmaker actions that lets you use Sensor Toolkit. So it's great, highly recommend it. I've used it for over a year now, or nearly, is it over 2 years? How long has it been? It's 2022. It's probably about 2 years now. So can't recommend it enough, especially for Playmaker users. Honestly, for anybody, I guess. But it's brilliant. Check it out. There's more than just the vision and line of sight. You should go at least take a look at some of the things here, because there's a lot of sort of navigation stuff as well. You can see here this nav mesh sensor. Yeah, like that's crazy. A Boolean sensor, so it's find things that exist within 2 overlaps, It's great. So that's Sensor Toolkit 2. There's a link in the description to this page, stevenscottdaily.com/stuff I use. It's a big page of all these links. And if you click on this one, this is it right here, Sensor Toolkit, takes you to the asset store page using my affiliate link. So if you buy it using that link, I get a little bit of that cash. A little penny gets tossed in my internet jar, and it's much appreciated. Negator says hello. How's it going? Negator? Also, by the way, the description of this says, hands down the best sensor asset for Unity, vision, hearing, etc. I use this for nearly everything I make. Okay, the next thing is Rewired. So Rewired is a controller / input. It's broadly an input tool. Or a system. So if you've ever used Unity's sort of, I guess at this point it might be called the legacy input system, but the input manager where you type in the axes names, horizontal, vertical, jump, fire 1 and fire 2 and all that, you're using strings to sort of refer to this input manager, where then you could say, well, fire 1 means clicking, or it might mean it can also mean spacebar and stuff like that. And then there's also the Unity new input system, which is very controversial. A lot of people are banging their heads against the wall, like myself. I'm not terribly fond of the new input system, particularly for its sort of lack of out-of-the-boxness use. There's a lot of pre-setup that you need, whereas I really enjoyed the old input system for its sort of... they give you a lot of these vanilla defaults that just kind of worked out of the box. And a lot of times you only need to make a few changes and they work just fine. Negator says, taking a break from working. I've been working on a game for 14 hours straight, so taking a break. Holy shit. 14 hours definitely deserves a break. Glad you're taking it easy. And thanks for hopping into the stream. So where Rewired comes in is it's a hard thing for me to describe as somebody who only recently used it, because I'm not quite sure what pushed other people to use it in the past. But where I'm coming from is that I want to sort of future-proof the games I make in such a way that lets people use multiple inputs. You can see at the bottom of the screen here as a controller, keyboard and mouse, touch screen on the phone, joystick and steering wheel, guitar, hero guitar, etc. And what this setup is a way that's honestly very close to Unity's new input system. It's very similar to that. The interface and how all that works is very simple. It's kind of a weird mashup between the legacy input system and the new input system, in that it's modular enough, like the new input system, but that it uses these strings and sort of a much friendlier interface like the old input system. So I've used this to integrate into my main project, Memories of a Spy. I was using the old input system for a long time, switched to the new input system, and then now I'm finally on Rewired, and Rewired is hands down the best one that I've used so far. And it comes with a crazy exhaustive list of Playmaker actions. So if you're a Playmaker user, this Rewired sort of Playmaker integration set it's so much. It's a lot. It's really detailed shit. So definitely give this a check, a look, because it's, I think, I forgot where it was, but there is somewhere, probably on their website or something, a massive list of games that used Rewired as their input system for their game. And it's games that you've definitely heard of. It is an old one. It is battle tested. Everybody swears by it. For a long time, when I was kind of debating on whether or not to get it, I was talking to people on Twitter, and basically everybody was just like, just fucking get it, just fucking get it. And it has some of the best documentation. It has some of the easiest interface to navigate. It is so friendly and powerful. And that's like my favorite combination, when something is both very powerful and you could take really, really far, but also the threshold by which it takes to sort of enter and gain access on how to use it and kind of just get things up and running is very, very low. Like, that is an amazing thing. So Rewired, it's great. Definitely grab it. Check it out. It's $45. Again, very worth it. All these assets, it's crazy that all these are like under $100. Like, a lot of them are in my eyes, I would have like tried to sell for much, much more, because it's just like, I mean, these people are constantly keeping them updated. They provide pillars of game development. Like, the game development process is made up of only a handful of pillars, but the tools that I've described so far basically by themselves cover that entire section. Unity should just be throwing money at them, or at least give them massive discount. Because I don't know what the split is. I think Unity takes like 30% of the asset store revenue. So it's like, if Rewired sells, fucking $100 worth of shit, they only get only $70, but still, it's like, Unity should really be throwing more cash to these people, because they're carrying the community, I feel like. Not only Rewired, but the other assets I've described. So that's Rewired. Grab it. Again, affiliate link in the description. There's a link that takes you here to stevenscottday.com/stuff-I-use, and then Rewired is right here. If you use this link, I get a little penny if you grab it. Okay, so next is A# pathfinding project. So this says, crazy optimized and flexible pathfinding, also has a free version, currently has little to no Playmaker support, requires slightly more advanced skills to support Playmaker. Rewired sounds awesome. It is. It's so good. It's so good. So next up we have A# pathfinding. So this is crazy that it's fucking half off right now. You can get A# pathfinding for $50. I bought it for the full 100 and don't regret it. I would wait for this spring sale to end so I could just pay them the full $100. Maybe not, because I'm kind of broke, but that just goes to say that like it's kind of amazing. So the only downside is that for me, I am mostly a Playmaker user, so my C# skills are fine. They're not amazing. I've only recently begun to like learn how to get more in depth in it, and all the C# I do is mostly just to refine and create Playmaker actions and other sort of integration stuff for Playmaker. But A# pathfinding project has none. There used to be Playmaker integration, and if you really do some digging around, you'll find some old GitHub and other, maybe not GitHub, but some other type of repositories on the internet, some forums, some places where people got together and created Playmaker integration for the A# pathfinding project. Specifically for this, it's worth noting that this is A# pathfinding project by, I forget, Aaron Granberg. So from what I understand, A# is sort of a system that can be applied and maybe originates somewhere else, can be applied elsewhere and maybe originate somewhere else. I think this asset is just specifically this Aaron Granberg's sort of implementation of it, and has been regarded very highly as one of the best implementations of A# for Unity, like as an asset, as a pathfinding solution. Gorman Studios said, just bought Sensor Toolkit via the link. It's payday, why not? Woo! You're doing yourself a huge favor. You're gonna have fun playing with that thing. And thank you, by the way. Much, much appreciated. Yeah, Sensor Toolkit's amazing. So A# pathfinding project doesn't have any Playmaker support right now that's like ongoing, but there is, like I said, some places if you do some digging around the internet. Also, Broken of Little Owl Gaming, one of the sort of head honchos of the Playmaker community, has a tutorial on it and a link to like a C# script and like an action or two that help you get sort of the basics out of A# pathfinding project. The thing is, it's mostly about like, setting a destination and getting the thing to move. And then there's some sort of other variables that you can play with in there. But if you really want, you can also find those repositories and then sort of try to update them. The thing is, they just haven't been updated in a while. So if you are going to get A# pathfinding, if you're a Playmaker user, just know that there's going to be a little bit more of a threshold that you're going to have to get over. But if you're just using C#, then there is great documentation. I've gone through it myself. Just went through the API and the manual and stuff like that. And yeah, it's still a pretty straightforward thing. I've written some of my own scripts and done some modifying to some actions and stuff to try to make it work for me. And it's been great. The thing that's, by the way, I haven't even got to the fucking selling point. By the way, Rob Lang in the chat says, I'm delighted to have caught you live, Steven. Hello. What's up, Rob Lang? If I could just say this really quick. Rob Lang is making one of the most fascinating games that I've seen in any devlogs. Everybody's making a game right now. Everybody's making a devlog, and there's plenty of fascinating things going on, and certainly impressive things going on. But rarely do you find yourself coming across an idea, right? Just a concept for a game in which the verbs that you're using to describe the game loop are uncommon, are novel, and exciting. So it's always very flattering to have Rob Lang either pop in or comment on my videos, because he's somebody who I'm like, fuck, dude, I want to play this guy's game. It looks crazy. I won't say too much about it right now because you're here for this asset stuff, but go check him out. Rob Lang on YouTube. He's doing a game with what he calls clompers, I believe, and you're navigating a giant mechanical ladybug through this sort of, I think, like a wasteland or something, but it's very Deep Rock Galactic. It's very I don't know, that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind. And I just recently found out that this guy plays Deep Rock Galactic, so it's all kind of making sense. Anyhow, so A# pathfinding project, the big selling point that I want to get to is that it's crazy optimized, that you can have a fucking bazillion things pathfinding and it runs buttery smooth. And there's a million different ways to do pathfinding. So it doesn't just do the typical, like this thing. If you use Unity's nav mesh, the built-in navigation system, you know about the nav mesh stuff. It sort of bakes this blue distinct mesh on top of the geometry that already exists in your game. And that's the sort of mesh by which your agents navigate. So A# has that, but it also has sort of node-based ones, these tile, I don't know if this is tile-based, I kind of forget all of them, but there's a multitude of ways that it could use pathfinding. It puts them in volumes, it puts them on these little grids, it puts little nodes where you're literally creating empty game objects, and it recognizes that as a list of checkpoints. So there's many, many ways that you could use the A# pathfinding project to do pathfinding in your game for all sorts of pathfinding, whether it's a character navigating a flat ground or bumpy stuff, that's like the typical, but also for three-dimensional stuff, for, you know, a spaceship flying through or navigating all 3 dimensions of space. And 2D stuff as well. It's a big thing, right? The navigation system built into Unity isn't so supportive of 2D stuff. A# is. It covers all the bases. This is sort of the catch-all and sort of most robust and battle-tested pathfinding program available to Unity users. So yeah, it's very highly recommended. Again, like I said, if you're a Playmaker user, there's a bit of a threshold that you have to cross. You have to do some of the coding yourself. But I so far I've found it highly worth it if you're going to be doing things that require a lot more processing from your agents in your game. Clomper, that's it. DRG is one of my faves. I fucking love Deep Rock Galactic, man. The new update just came out, by the way. I think it's more the robot stuff. I'm not crazy about the robot stuff. I prefer killing bugs, but nevertheless, an update, and I'm excited. So, A# Pathfinding Project, grab it. It's really amazing. I feel like there's one more thing. Oh, yeah, and even like the runtime nav mesh baking, so fast. It's just so optimized. That's the big selling point for me, is like just how optimized everything is on here. Because when you get a lot of agents running in your game with Unity's built-in nav mesh, you could feel it start bogging down. And this covers a lot of those bases. Okay, A#. So you could find that here. There's a link in the description that is stevenscottday.com/stuff-I-use. That will take you to this page right here. And on this page, you can find the A# Pathfinding project. Using this affiliate link throws a couple pennies my way, is greatly appreciated. Yeah, so whether you're watching this video now or in the future, the link is here. But right now, it's 50%, right? 50% off? Let me just make sure. Yep, 50% off right now, I think, and the spring sale ends today. Don't go overdrafting your bank account, though, if you have to wait. The next thing is Final IK. Right here I say, best IK asset since forever, great Playmaker support. So Final IK is, if you don't know what IK is, it means inverse kinematics. And as Danny once said, it's like kinematics, but inverse, so you're welcome. Which I think is the best explanation for inverse kinematics. Final IK is, you know, when you're playing a game and you want your character to walk on uneven terrain, but their feet get kind of floaty because the animation was just baked in as walking on flat plane, but you're like, I want their feet to like actually land on the angles of the ground. Well, that's what you use inverse kinematics for. That's where you use sort of all the more advanced animation rigging in your game, adaptive animations, you might call it. And that's one of the things that Final IK does. It's also just about when your character is holding something and when you say, I want that thing to be over here, and their arms adjust to it. So it's like, if you had this can, your character grabs a can, you could now move the can and your character's arm will adjust accordingly. It's also commonly used for making your characters kind of stand there and do their idling animation. Imagine if their idle animation was doing this, kind of just like wobbling side to side, but you want it to be that when the player is near the character, that the character looks at them. So they remain doing their little wobble animation, but their head might be turning and might be following you. So it's about sort of separating the animation from the rig and the live updated version of that. There's a weight slider, so it's literally like you can control how much of the animation is being imposed on that model versus how much of the dynamic animation is being imposed on it. So really, it's worth taking a look at some of these videos to kind of get into the nitty gritty of how often Final IK shows up in games. It's mostly a pretty cosmetic thing, but it can also be used functionally. There are sort of mechanically relevant things about this as well. But I think for a lot of people, it's mostly just the cosmetic aspect of wanting things to look like they feel right in game. Like I said, having the feet land correctly on uneven terrain. Having your character's gun point in the correct direction instead of just having the whole model slide left and right or something like that. So Final IK does come with Playmaker integration. If you're a Playmaker user, there is a handful of actions that are pretty good. I made a couple tweaks on the ones that I have right now. I think one of them, it asks you which limb you want to control, and it's a drop-down menu with the enum values. And those enum values are just hard-coded into the action I made. There is a way to, if you wanted to pop into the C# script of that action, to turn that hard-coded value into a Playmaker FSM enum value. And that way you can dynamically update it. For my game, the characters switch back and forth between like left-handed and right-handed. So when I want them to use a Final IK action, I can't just have this hard-coded version unless I want it to like branch off to all these other different states, and it's just all these redundancies. So for me, it was just a quick fix on the phone with Jean Fabre, who kind of guided me through updating the action. So now the value is a dynamic, it's a dynamic value that can be the dominant hand, so it goes from left hand to right hand, depending on what the character's preference is. So integration is good. There's room for improvement. There's probably a handful of other things that I don't know yet because, to be honest, a lot of this is just out of the box. You just slap components onto it and you do some dragging and dropping, but a lot of the code work I haven't really gotten into because the main features of it are they just work when you slap components onto your rig. I made a Doc Ock thing, so it's like these crazy tentacle arms that like also adjust with that stuff. And again, it's just no coding. It's you don't really realize that until you jump into the program, that this is kind of one of those things that so leans into the cosmetic aspect of things that there's very few times where you're honestly programming anything. So yeah, Final IK, usually $90. It's 50% off right now, so it's $45. I highly recommend it if you like this kind of thing in your game. There's a handful of other solutions out there that seem to work fine, but the problem is that it's sort of a byproduct of capitalism, maybe, or just, I don't know, the way of the world is that this thing is old. It's not like super old. Excuse me. You know what? Maybe I should get a drink really quick. Give me 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so like 7 seconds. But let me just drink this really quick so I don't have to keep clearing my throat. Also, sparkling water, not the best thing to like clear your throat with. It burns so good though. So, what was I saying? Yeah, just Final IK is so out of the box. Take a look through all the features that it offers here on the asset page, because there's so many more other things that I'm not using it for currently. I'm using them for very vanilla, sort of basic things. What I was going to say about how old it is, right? There's other assets on the store that do similar things. But the thing is that, like Playmaker, Root Motion's assets are battle tested. They've been used for a long time. There's a huge community behind them. They're one of the higher selling ones, so they actually sink a lot of time and cash and effort into the further development and updates for it. It's robust as hell. It is just a solid fucking solution. So go check it out. Root Motion's Final IK. Side note, I haven't used it yet, but I do own their other one, Puppet Master, which is sort of, again, more about like adaptive animation stuff. So that's Final IK. You can get the link to this page right here that you're looking at in the description of this video, stevenscottday.com/stuff I use, and then the link to the asset is right here, Final IK. If you want to use this link, it's my affiliate link. Get a couple pennies out of every sale that is made after using this link. So it's greatly appreciated. It's half off right now. If you're watching this video at a later date, link is still valid, but the product might be $100 instead. I should have made tea. So the next thing is PGG. I'm not even really sure what the full. Let's see this in a second. It's a procedurally generated, dungeon. I don't know what you would call it. It's like, just procedurally generated environments. So I said amazing proc gen environments for the price tag, though it has a bit of a learning curve. So what is it called exactly? Because I just call it PGG in my head. Procedural generation grid. It's so dry. This is so in line with how I see this asset too. So right out the gate, I will just say that as much as I love this thing now, as great as it is, I've downloaded and sunk proper cash into maybe about 5 different procedural generation assets for environments like this. And I've gotten them all to work, most of them to work just fine. But this one is one that it's so funny. It's really funny because this one has been the best in so many ways. The irony here is that its documentation is so hard to understand. And I don't mean if you're not smart, you got to be so smart to understand. No, it's because I don't think the developers are native English speakers or something like that, or the person who wrote the documentation certainly wasn't. It's and not only that, but and maybe that isn't so bad. Maybe my memory is exaggerating it, but also the syntax and the sort of jargon that they use to describe these systems, the names of all the components in their system. Also, maybe I don't get it. Maybe it hasn't clicked with me. I think, I've kind of sat there and go okay, I get why they called this component that thing or this thing. They named it this way or that way. But a lot of the times I'm they should have called it something else. That's my one big gripe with this thing. It is awesome. And like I said, I probably spent probably over $200 on other procedurally generated environment assets. Some of the top ones. And got from deals too. So that's that collective price doesn't necessarily reflect what the normal sales price is. And yeah, just they work, they're good. Some of those even have better documentation than this, but overall, just the way the system works, I would say that this, it's just, especially what blows my mind too, is that it's significantly cheaper than most of those other assets. So this thing is $34.99 right now, or no, not right now. It's half off. So it's $17, but typically it's $35. And that is so fucking amazing for what this is. This is a really sort of underpriced and high value asset. I'm using it to develop the procedurally generated agency headquarters of my game. So CIA, KGB, MI6, SDECE, and BRD, BRN, or I forgot what Germany's one is. The Bundenach something or whatever. But anyways, and it was I learned it that night. I picked it up, kind of slogged through the documentation, but once I got it up and running, it was brilliant. Now I could make all these tweaks and stuff, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So F Impossible Creations selling Procedural Generation Grid Beta. It's funny that this is beta too. For $18. Go grab it. It's if you have $18 to spare right now for something that you plan on using a lot, like this procedural generation stuff, you can make a whole goddamn game using a system like this. This is it really is, like I said, for the other assets, a pillar of some game development processes. So if your game is a dungeon crawler or these roguelikes or anything like that, this is solving half of your problems for you. It literally just chops your workload in half because it's a whole damn procedural generation system, and it works great. It's super modular, super just all edge case kind of shit. Like I said, the interface is the documentation, the syntax, and is but once you get over that, it's more of how should I say this? It's an annoying threshold, but it's a low threshold. Okay. It's kind of imagine if you've never opened a door before. If you've never put your hand on a doorknob, turned it, and pushed a door forward. If you've never done that before, and so the person teaching you how to do that was wearing a ball gag and a mask, and their hands were tied behind their back. and they can only sort of like use their head and vaguely speak through like, oh, put your hand on the doorknob and then turn it. You know, that kind of thing. Like, that's what this is like. Because once you get it, it's like, oh, and then now you could just do it over. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Farak, can you play the video again? Oh, sure. Yeah. By the way, Farak and anybody else watching, I'm just going to pause it really quick. There is a link in the description of this video that takes you to this page, the Stuff I Use page. And if you scroll down, you'll find the procedural generation grid link here. This is my affiliate link, so if you do decide to grab it, I get tossed a couple of pennies, and all the help is greatly appreciated. So yes, I will keep playing this video, but just so you know, the link to that one page, which will then link to this, is in the description of this video. This is very specific, Stephen. Drawing from experience? Oh, I can't even count how many times I've been ball gagged and bound while trying to explain to somebody how to open a door. It's just, I can't even count at this point. Generate buildings, roads, walls, detailed interiors. They give you nice sample projects to go through. The visual representations too of things is actually really solid. The interface, like I said, it isn't like great at first because they split a lot of things up into different panels. I think the main problem with that is just, again, the naming system, the naming conventions that they use to describe all these little parts of the asset. But yeah, it's like, it also checks a lot of boxes that a lot of other procedural generation systems don't. Okay, I'm not going to watch the whole video. It's almost over anyway. So that's procedural generation grid. Link is here. So if you go to the link in this video, takes you to this page, stevenscottday.com, stuff I use, procedural generation grid. That's the affiliate link. Next, we have Easy Save. So you've definitely heard of this shit, right? If you haven't heard of Easy Save, where have you been? Who are you? Do you even make games? This is like the Mac Daddy of save systems for Unity. So if you're building a game and you want it to be able to like close it out and then come back and pick up where you left off, you're gonna have to build from scratch your own save system, because Unity doesn't really have they have player prefs, and there's just ways of saving data and creating files within your game, but there's no like components or out of the box vanilla solutions that Unity provides for saving. If you say player prefs, it's like that does not count. Player prefs does not fucking cut it. So Easy Save has, again, just like the other assets that I've described, has been in the game for a long time, has been battle tested. I think up here, this 768, I think that also sort of describes, or that is representative of how old it is, right? It's before there were even 1,000 assets in the asset store. I think that's what this means. This is the asset store ID. Let me just check when releases, original. Yep, June 1st, 2011. So shortly after Playmaker's release. This is a old asset, but look at something you need to pay attention to is if you go on the asset store and you see how many ratings a thing has and what the current rating is, very often you will find that 5-star products either have under 10 reviews, because it's like it only took a few people to rate it 5 stars and now suddenly it's like a 5-star product, which is not the most reliable way of measuring the quality of something. Or it has a ton of ratings and is a 4-star product, which is not bad. That's great too. Like, not to knock I'm pretty sure that I have some 4-star products on here. I probably have lower star products on here, but this, like Playmaker, is a 5-star product with a fuck ton of ratings. Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how hard it is to make something that is basically unanimously agreed upon being an amazing tool? So Playmaker did that, and so has Easy Save. So age of asset isn't that important when it's IO in out. It doesn't change that much over the years. Yeah, I mean, I get like if what we're talking about is just like you made something that solves like a sort of like a fundamental problem, and it's just like you did it a long time ago, and it's just gonna stay like that. Like, yeah, I mean, there's very few ways to improve upon something that like solves such a common or sort of like, would you call it a mainstay problem? Like a save system. or the collider thing. I'm thinking of Final IK. Procedural generation starts getting niche because not all games have that. But like every game needs a save system, you know. Is it easy to implement to Playmaker? So yeah, the big thing about Easy Save is it has great Playmaker integration. Even one of their little panels here on the asset store shows you working with it. There's an action called Save All, you know, where it just saves everything. And then if you use the Load All action, you can literally like it'll save the entire game state. And you could do all this crazy shit. You could change all these values, all these variables, but it'll save the entire game state for an FSM. You specify which FSM it is. So this has great Playmaker integration. It's usually $70. This, and I think that's, you know, again, it's kind of what I'm talking about earlier, like the value of things sort of severely being underpriced. 70 is much closer to what I think Easy Save is actually worth. So right now, being able to grab it for $34 is fucking crazy. Like if you've been meaning to get a save system going, and you want to just get it going ASAP. I mean, even if, I don't know, like, I can't say I've looked into sort of hand-built custom save systems too much, but from what I understand, like this covers most of what you would ever want. I know there yeah, I don't want to step out of my area of expertise. I know there's something about multiplayer and sort of like altering player files and stuff, but that's more of like an anti-cheat concern. Yeah, just blanket statement, Easy Save is the way to go. Battle tested, great community, great documentation, Playmaker support, just across the board, super solid, really out of the box, just works. Let's see, is there anything else to mention about this? No, I know you can also use it because it's also broadly sort of like for like data management, you can consider it. So I think there's ways that people can sort of repurpose it for, not even repurpose it, but there's more features to it other than just saving the game. So that's Easy Save. This is one of those ones where I'm kind of like, it's $70. Same thing with Final IK. That was like $100. It's like right now it's half off. It's a good time to grab it. So if you're not breaking the bank, if you're not going to overdraft your damn, you know, bank account, if you have cash to spare right now, or it's just a big thing for if you're investing in yourself right now, if you're investing in a game and you're really trying to like make a living off of what you do, then maybe it is also time to cut back on how many cups of coffee you buy in the morning. So that's Easy Save. The link to it can be found in the description. In the description, there's a link to this page, stevenscottday.com/stuff I use. And then from this page, you can navigate to Easy Save right here. So the next thing, so happy to talk about this one, is Master Audio. It's Master Audio AAA Sound, I believe. So sound occlusion, gapless playlists, Playmaker integration. I use it for most of my projects. So let me actually just open up the thing. Yep, Master Audio AAA Sound. I sometimes I forget. Sometimes I call it like Master Sound AAA Audio. It's kind of a redundant title. It's a funny title to me. Darktonic makes it. Darktonic makes a handful of other assets that you've probably heard of. They do some like some networking things, as well as what is it they do? They do a couple other things. I don't want to get too distracted here. Networking and pooling. They have like a pooling asset. So this is a catch-all for I don't know, just sound in your game, dynamic sound in your game. So when you use the sound systems that are just vanilla out of Unity, to kind of like, you know, you make a mixer, you can do some frequency adjusting and stuff like that. But as far as like the way sound propagates through an environment, having to program yourself like, well, can this be heard through a wall or something? A lot of people will tend to go through this way of just like, oh, you just do a raycast, and if the raycast touches the player from the audio's source is, then he can hear it, and you change the frequency and stuff like that. There's ways to do that for sure. It isn't too difficult, but then you start getting into other things where it's like, okay, well, when you play audio, there's a way to like have an audio sound loop, and there's always kind of like this tiny little gap when it loops and stuff like that. And then there's also things about where your audio files are coming from, whether it's being loaded from your resources or not, right? Because there's a limited, I think the resources folder, if you're going to be storing things in RAM, it's like a 4 gigabyte cap. So it's a lot of like, it starts getting into like a little bit of the technical, like optimize utility part, like that. This is less, I mean, there's just as much out of the box, you could see it with your eyes, hear it with your own ears, functionality that's like cool. Like my game now has sound occlusion, cool. Now there's gapless playback for my music, like those are cool. But there's also just as much sort of like really sort of in the weeds sort of technical things about how to manage your sound in your game. Is it similar to Fmod? It's not as advanced as Fmod. Fmod is a whole damn thing. And the thing about Fmod is it also doesn't really hold your hand. Like this is definitely aiming to solve a few of the key fundamental common problems for audio in games. And it does it very well. It gives you a lot of variation. It gives you a lot of, not variation, modularity. It gives you a lot of options. So yeah, the thing that I use it for generally is just that it has PlayMaker integration, first of all. So I could just use the thing that says play sound, change the pitch, play a playlist, do this or that, right? Stop all sound, mute sound, pause, change the volume, this, and that. And playing random sounds, playing it from a group and playing, a type of sound. I use it to just better organize how sound gets played in the game. But more importantly, for me at least, the big thing I've used it for is for the sound occlusion thing, because it does have a really good out of the box sound occlusion solution. So it's just like right when you start using it, there's a little slider or checkbox. You could say this is a sound that can be occluded, and what that means, if you don't know, is just that if you are behind a wall and there's a radio on the other side of that wall, the sound of that radio should be very different from when you are standing right in front of it. And this aims to, and does very well, solve that problem. So, I think literally the first time I ever used it was for a radio. And it was way back in, when I first started developing Memories of a Spy, I used it to, change the sound of a radio in a hotel room. So if you're like, I should bring that up. I should bring the prototype back and show you guys a video of the original prototype. There's a little bit of it in the original devlog for Memories of a Spy, but I would like a little bit more in depth to show you guys what that looked like. But yeah, essentially I put like a radio up in these hotel rooms, and you want to be able to know where this person is based off of hearing the sound of the radio being played. And so what was helpful was just that, like, not only is, of course, there's like the dynamic sound, you can hear if it's left or right, but also it's like you need to know which room it's coming from based off of what the frequency sounded like. So with sound, you get all of the lower frequencies that pass through when you're behind walls. So you have what is considered a low pass filter. So if you put a boombox in a room, close the door, you're going to be cutting out a lot of the high frequencies, and you're only going to be getting the low stuff. That's why when your like neighbor is having a party, it's just like, you're only getting the low frequencies. Master Audio takes care of a lot of that. They let you sort out which things do get filtered and which ones don't. It's on an individual basis. It's on a conditional basis, right? You can dynamically set up which things get affected by that or not. And then also just they have the music playlist, this gapless playback thing of being able to play something continuously without hearing these little either clicks or millisecond, 0.0001 silence gaps in between playing it. This lets you have a nice seamless playback. It even lets you have, there's like a slider. There's a button and a slider to have a crossfade between sounds, which is very helpful. Takes care of music and ambience, one-shot clips. It is a fucking solid solution, and they're very responsive. So I've talked to the team. The team even helped me develop a new action that I think now if you download this, it includes an action that I wrote, and then they kind of improved upon and polished it up and made it better. And so I know that they're very open to working with Playmaker users. There is a nice chunk of Playmaker actions that cover all of the bases. But if you ever want to create some of your own stuff, because you see some features in there that you're like, okay, I want it to do this or whatever. If it doesn't cover that base, you could try writing your own action, hit them up, and they'll they'll be there for you. I was in an email exchange for like a couple days with them where they were very helpful in getting me sorted out. And like I said, now that action that was created for my game specifically now ships standard with Master Audio. So right now it's $50, or right now it's $25. Usually it's $50, but it's 50% off today. Highly recommend this. It is a great out-of-the-box solution. One day maybe I'll learn Fmod, but honestly, it's just like, this just really, really does it right now. Echo-based Dev says, I wonder if the 2022 version is worth the upgrade. I don't know. I haven't really looked too much into what the 2022 version is yet. But I did get the multiplayer version, which I haven't used yet, and I have no opinions on right now. But I got the multiplayer version because from what I understand, it helps in the sort of synchronization of what might otherwise be like a randomly played clip to make sure that there is uniformity between clients, so everybody hears the same sound whenever something is called on a random sound, which is really helpful. The thing that comes to mind right now is in Deep Rock Galactic, if your dwarf says something random, or even in Left 4 Dead, when a character cues one of their random lines, or sort of random based off of conditions of the state of the world, you're going to want to make sure that everybody playing with you heard that same sound. And if you're not into networking, then just know that isn't always the easiest thing or the most straightforward thing to do. That in networking, when you do online work, that you actually have to explicitly say, like everybody's random should be the same random. Rock and stone. Yes. Rock and stone to the motherfucking bone. So yeah, Master Audio, I can't really say for the multiplayer stuff, but the claims on the features for that multiplayer component is enticing, to say the least. So that's Master Audio, $25 right now. There's a link in the description of this video that will take you to this page, this stevenscottday.com/stuff I use. This is a list of assets that I use, that I swear by, that I fucking love and use all the time, or have used extensively, or that have just provided a lot of value. Because right now I haven't put too much time into the A# stuff, but it's just been astounding. So it takes you to here, but at the bottom of the list, you can see Master Audio, the asset I just reviewed. And yeah, if you use this link, it's my affiliate link, and I get a couple of pennies for every sale that is made off here. Any help is greatly appreciated. And yeah, right now it's 50% off, so it's a good time to grab it. But don't break the bank. Don't go spending money you don't got right now. If not, you can always wait. The last one in here I just added today because I realized when I'm doing the SEO for this video, I was like, okay, like I need to properly optimize this thing, and just doing the SEO for like, okay, people are looking for assets, they're going to be searching Unity stuff, and then I was like, oh, one of the biggest related search terms was Cinti, and I'm like, I use fucking Cinti. I don't know why I didn't put it on that list. And you guys have seen me use this a million times. It's made it into my videos. So I added this today. This is the Polygon Prototype Pack. I said the perfect gray boxing pack. I use this all the time for prototyping and creating tutorials. So the Cinti Polygon Prototype Pack. I'll let this video play. These guys are great. I've had a handful of calls with them. In the beginning of my work with Playmaker, we were a little bit more closely communicating with them and sort of organizing our projects based it off, just helping each other out. We really like the idea. I think some of our packages ship with, on some of our sample packages, I think they ship with Polygon prototype assets. The thing is, Cinti talks about just like they wish they can, just give this fucking thing out for free, and they're constantly thinking about it. But $5 is literally the lowest price you can charge on the asset store. So that's why they're just like, just take it. It's $4.99. I don't think this thing's ever really going to go on sale. Actually, I think it has. I think I bought this thing for like $2 once. I think I did find it, which is just, it's silly because it's already so fucking cheap. It doesn't come with these things. You're seeing a video right now that just shows like those people, like all these fantasy characters and pirates and space and farmers and shit. It doesn't come with these. What it does come with, look at the images instead. It comes with these walls and stairs and ramps and doorways and arches and boxes, all these sorts of things that are common to sort of gray boxing level design. And additionally, besides sort of level design stuff, it comes with common props. So like, as you can see here, like a save disk, right? So it's like a save point. It's just like, great, if we're just prototyping something, just put a save disk so it reads, you know. They have cameras around here. It also comes with a handful of figures. So some of them are pre-posed, some of them are in T-pose that you can throw into Mixamo or whatever, and they're also pre-rigged and everything. The one thing I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, or maybe it does need to bring up to them. I might be mistaken, but they put convex. They put mesh colliders on all of their things, and it's a pain in the ass because you basically either have to convert them into convex meshes or get rid of them and remesh them entirely, which could be kind of annoying. But more or less, they're still amazing assets. Have you used a plugin called Feel? I have not. I've been tempted to, like I have with many other assets on the asset store. But the thing about Feel is that like it's one of those ones that's like, yeah, it definitely does a lot of designy bits for you, and it looks like it works out of the box. Like, great, you could just make a thing glow or outline and shake and do all these things. But a lot of them are sort of so specifically tied to just animation and how to color things and little color palettes and stuff. That in the end I go like, that's kind of this other. You could just do it with a Playmaker tween action. You know, like you go over tween, you go tween rotate. There's like a punch ease. You know, there's a rubber band ease, and it's just like I use that all the time. You know, and it's just like, and it gives you, like, I know it gives you a lot up front, and I'm sure for some people, like doing a prototype of something that feels really punchy and everything is probably good. But yeah, I have little to no interest in using Feel. And in fact, I've had talks with Alex where I'm like, maybe what we should do is either I can create some actions or some templates that just do the same thing, because charging for it, I know it looks robust and it looks like it does a lot of stuff, and probably there's some utility in it if your whole game is built around just like feel, you know, and I mean like game feel. But yeah, I have not used it. Lewis, hola, Nancy boys are here. Yo, the Nancy boys. They're in the fucking, hold on, what time is it? So if you guys don't know, the Nancy boys are gentlemen that I met in Barcelona who come from Nancy, France. What time is it? 10:25 p.m. Okay, so it's not too late. It's the end of your night. It's the end of a Friday, right? Yeah, it's Friday for you. Is it that hot in LA where you work with your shirt off? I'm not working with my shirt off. Should I take my shirt off? It's not that kind of stream, guys. Come on. It's 10:30 p.m. How's it going? So if you guys don't know, they're the gentleman I met in Barcelona, and they made it in the fifth Memories of a Spy devlog, the one that has very little game development and a whole lot of running around and debauchery, plenty of which these gentlemen were also engaged in. How are you doing with your Spanish? Not so good, man. There's a lot to say about this April Fool month. That's not true. That's not true. I studied my ass off and learned a lot of vocabulary, a lot of grammar. I learned all the 13 sentences, so I know how to speak in such a way that can maybe, like, you know, I can get around better than I did in Barcelona. I got around fine in Barcelona, but I could probably navigate an actual conversation a little bit better. But still, not so good, and I'll catch you guys up plenty on that. Tomorrow? What's today? Is today 29th? Today's 29th. Yeah, so tomorrow I plan on doing a stream to kind of catch, either a stream or I might produce a video to sort of catch everybody up on how the month April Fool has gone. But for now, I need to get back to this because I want this video to be sort of watchable and of use to people outside of the stream today. So, oh, you're from Barcelona too. Nice. Didn't realize that. I don't think I've seen you in the chat. Fark? Am I pronouncing that right? Fark? Thought I was bare chested. Yeah, it does kind of blend in. I saw on the stream too. I was like, this kind of lives. We lived in Barcelona for 6 months. Yeah, for sure. Don't mind us. Love you. Nice. I always forget. Daemonis 22. It's right. That's right. I forget. I was like, why is this name familiar? Yeah, I miss Barcelona. Okay, getting back to this. Cinti's Polygon prototype pack. super good gray boxing and just, you know, running a prototype as quickly as you can, because it gives you all of the most common assets. Like I said, besides just the environment design, they give you characters, they give you, you know, come on, barrels, right? Some guns, trees. Let me see, what else? The way the folder hierarchy is structured. Let me see. I think it even has in here, right? Package content, prefabs, right here. Buildings, characters, character hands, FPS hands. So it has models separately. You know, if you ever built an FPS and have ever wondered why your gun clips through walls when you're standing against it, but your favorite FPS doesn't, it's because there is a separate camera rendering the gun from the rest of the world. And that way, your gun is always on the top layer. That's why it also kind of looks a little strange, because that kind of is physically impossible. So they have a folder for that, where it's just the arms for FPS stuff, which is nice. They have an effects thing. I think that's like a handful of particles they have. Generic things, like I said, the save disk, and like, you know, up here we have what, like, you know, a plus sign, some trophies, a target, a skull, a thumbtack, you know, a stopwatch. Super universal icons that are applicable for like a million different game types. You know, when you're just trying to prototype something and getting out the door, like, this really has you covered. It's a tiny package, imports quickly. Yeah, like I said, use it all the time. $5. You know, it's not on sale today. Fuck it. You know, it's just like, come on. And that's the last thing that's on this list I have. So link in the description to stevenscottday.com/stuff I use. It takes you to this page where you can see all these assets I use. That's what I spent this whole video talking about, because the Unity spring sale is going on right now. It ends today. I should have honestly did this video earlier, but give me a break. I got a lot on my plate today, lately. So Polygon prototype is down here at the bottom. If you use this link to get it, this is my affiliate link, and it helps me out. I get a couple pennies out of it, which is nice if you want to support the channel, things that I do. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, so while I'm here, I don't know, this is video production stuff. This is the camera I use for the vlogs. This is the little tripod that it comes with. This mic, this tripod. This is my Blue Yeti mic right here. These are all Amazon affiliate links. This is my water bottle. My water bottle's in the kitchen right now. The chair that I'm in right now, you know, like, so if you just want to be me, if you're just trying to be me, or if you just trust my opinion on the value of the things that I buy, the tools that I use, and sort of the comforts of my day-to-day life, yeah, there's this page here that you can go to. Also, this is the charger that I used to when I travel. So it's like a little a world adapter kit. And the thing that is nice here is that it has a surge protector, because I've been in different countries where I'm charging my phone with my adapter, but it's a straight shot adapter into my phone. And so if that adapter fails, like a lot of them do, because a lot of them are cheap, it'll fry your shit. And so that's happened to me before, where my phone got completely fucking bricked because of a power adapter. Whereas this has a surge protector in it, so anything that falls apart or gets fucked up in the sort of whatever, what do you call that, translation, the power translation, whatever that is, the surge protector will cover you, you know? So it's like, you'd rather have this thing die as opposed to killing the item that it's used to charge. And then over here is a super flat and long Ethernet cable. So it stows away very nicely in your backpack, and if you're staying at Airbnbs or at hotels across the world and you don't want to rely on their Wi-Fi, and there is a modem in there, you can connect directly to Ethernet, and that's why I have something like this. So anyways, besides all the assets, there's, you know, the gear I use. I plan on updating this more in the future, but honestly, dude, like, the big thing here is that I don't use too many Unity assets. Like, I try to keep this list small, and I try to make it so it only covers the sort of the main things that I really need to do. And yeah, I'm honestly like super picky about it. I don't like spending money on the asset store. I think people go fucking totally ham and just want everything to just solve all of their problems. And a lot of times they end up creating more problems. These ones I can say are not like that. These ones genuinely solve problems and are like the go-to solution for them. So yeah, check these things out. Link to this page with all of these other assets is in the description of this video at stevenscottday.com/stuff I use. Damona says, Luca, yeah, get back to game dev, my friend. Yeah, I know. So I think that's it. I don't know if anybody else is in the chat. I'll stick around for like a couple more minutes to talk about some of these things. I was gonna do this stream and actually use the tools, but just for fear of like getting kind of hung up on something, or like, oh, how did I do this again, or like if something broke in that moment. It's just like, I'm not trying to do that. Like generally they're all totally functioning perfectly well things, and any failure on trying to like display the actual function of the product would completely be on my end, just for like me fucking something up. So but I think in the future I might try to make some other videos to cover each of these assets individually, like I have with Sensor Toolkit. There is a video. If you go to my channel and check out, I think the video is called The Best Sensor Toolkit on the Asset Store or something. That goes a little bit more in depth on how the Sensor Toolkit works, at least version 1, because like I said, I have not used version 2. Well, I'm going to go to sleep. See ya. All right, Negator. Thanks for swinging by. Hope you'll learn something today. Hope this gives you an idea of some good assets you might want. Oh, fucking hell. Frock says, I just wanted to say that your YouTube channel is awesome. Keep going. Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. I'm trying, man. I am trying. I know this month I tried to do the April Fool thing, and it really started falling apart after week 2, or I guess at the start of week 3, right? I got like 14 days in, and it was just like, oof. But that's what this month was about. It was about pushing myself to my limits and finding my limits. I'm looking forward to the update tomorrow, because it's gonna, like, sort of not hitting a lot of these goals and not checking in specifically by making videos has kind of stressed me out. So I can't wait to get a lot of this off my chest tomorrow. Talk about what failed, what worked, what sort of value I got out of all this stuff. Better that you stopped and stayed sane-ish. Yeah, right. Yeah. It's cool. It's really, I've enjoyed this system my whole life. Fuse, what's up? What's up, man? How's it going? Long time no see. Long time no chat. I can super relate to the vibe of the month, Echo Base Dev says. Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of like it so much that I want to do it again next year. I like the idea of the April Fool being like this thing where you just like bite off more than you could chew, try chewing, and then like, either like choke or spit it out, or, it's fun because like no matter what happens, I don't know, for me personally at least, it's like exciting, it's fun. And then on top of that, it's like I got a lot done. I genuinely got a lot done, and I learned like a ton of shit. So yeah, it's fun. I want to try it again next year. I missed the streams. Is that a new haircut? It is. So I always cut my own hair, and then like a week or so ago, I was trying to take a shower as fast as I can, and so I wanted to cut my hair before my shower, and I was just like, oh, I feel so gross. I just need to jump in the shower. So I started rushing my haircut, which, just saying it out loud, you should know is a bad idea. And so, of course, a lot of times I use the buzzers and the scissors combo, right? And I take my time. I'm there usually for like at least half an hour up to an hour, It's like double mirror stuff going on and really trying to be gentle with myself. But this last time I was like in a rush to take a shower, and I wanted to cut my hair before it so I could wash all the hair off and stuff like that. And I just started just like taking big chunks blindly, not even caring, like not even looking. It didn't use a mirror, nothing. It was just like doing this massive chunks, and like it looked okay from the front, but in the back it was a disaster. Right now it's like kind of fine, and you know what, for the stream I'll do it. I don't know how bad it is now, but I don't know if you guys can see it. It was like, if it's still super patchy, this is not even the worst. You should have seen it. So yeah, I got bloody token grabbed on Discord. What the fuck is that? Token grabbed. Tell me on Discord, because I think I'm going to end the stream now. So I had to change all my info. Oh, no. Goddamn. Hit me up on Discord. Tell me about it there. Or hop in the general chat of the Discord. By the way, if you're watching this and you have enjoyed the Discord for my channel, link is in the description. It's a nice little community. A lot of Playmaker users. Also a lot of just non-Playmaker users. Just good people hanging out, sharing the stuff that we work on. It's really good vibes. Very, very useful folks. So, great stream. Speak soon. Thanks, Rob. It's always nice having you. And to anybody else also. Whoever was here, whoever is currently here. Thanks for joining me. Hope you learned a little bit about what sort of assets are useful, what might be good ones for you. And if you have any questions about these assets or want to see more information about them, if you want me to like make a video about them or something, leave a comment in the description of this if you're somebody who's watching this video in the future. So to everybody, swung by, thank you. I'll talk to you all soon. Hit me up on the Discord. All right, I think should hit it here, right? All right, everybody. Peace, peace, peace.